Guys in chat, by the way, I know we don't have too many people watching yet, but we are looking for someone who's within, say, 500 MMR. So right now, Pomba here is 3,500 MMR Zerg, and we need you could be a 3K Protoss, you could be a 4K Protoss. Anyone in that range, just because we'd love someone to play with us, would be fantastic. And we kind of want to hop into that sooner rather than later because we don't actually have a build order. So I'm going to be kind of teaching you something from scratch to some extent. So in terms of where we want to go with that, okay, I'm just trying to think about how exactly we structure this. So let me write some notes down. Okay. Okay. So you've written some great notes. I'm just going to start from the top and go, okay, what we want to do is we basically want to run you through Roach into a Hydrabane opening, a solid one. Okay, cool. So we basically want to talk about build guidelines. We want to talk about the two branches and how it changes. Stargate or versus Robo Twilight. So ground versus air opening. And then we also want to talk about so key responses is something else we want to cover today. Okay, so we want to talk about adepts are very common, and they're going to get just more common probably. Adept pressures, and how to split roaches, etc. We can talk about two base all-ins / heavy pressures, and how to transition out if we are forced into a buttload of roaches and ravagers, which is a 55 drone, 5 gas, +1 range, Hydra, Ravager, Roach, Ling, all in to kill the Protoss third. Because that's the whole point there is we can build towards a tight timing. I'll talk about that more later, but I'm just writing it down now while it's in my head. You mentioned two base all-ins in general. Proxy Dark Shrine, that's going to be something you're just much better against because anytime you'll be able to know it's a ground opening, so you should be fine against that stuff.
Yeah, so that I wrote it, if I may comment on this,
Yeah.
because when I scout, I realize that my understanding of scouting in ZvP, it doesn't ring bells, right? So a proxy, I imagine that if you're on top of your scouting, you might think, okay, there some structure I'm missing, like in this
Yeah.
time point,
You're like,
right?
it doesn't
So
look right. Yeah.
it doesn't look right. So out of this economy, they should have more production or more tech, right? And this is something that I wrote because I don't want to build against proxies, right? It's just a note that I wrote to actually, implement like a scouting enough to tell me, listen, this should rings your bell, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Do you ever go look for proxies with like a Zergling? Because we could just have a habit of two Lings check around the map as well. So if that ever becomes very common, two of our like 4 or 6 Lings will just check for proxies, but only if it's very common. If it's very rare, we don't need to think about it. We can just hopefully pick up on it and hopefully be safe with our generic play. But I'm just writing it down there next to that just in case. Like if this stuff becomes more common, we'll be like, oh, okay, let's just like build a habit in every game. 4 minutes, Ling speed's done. They don't have anything really on the map adept wise. Just send a few Lings, queue them up to attack, move around all the corners.
Yeah, that sounds the most, the most effective response. Like I totally agree with you.
Fantastic. Systemic says, do they need a play partner? I'm a Diamond 3 Protoss. You are exactly what we need, Systemic. We would like to carry your babies. Please hop on the EU server into chat channel Piggy if you can. We're still just talking theory right now, but we'll probably get into a game with you almost immediately, Systemic. Once you're in chat channel, so remember /join space Piggy, type in a chat channel and then whisper me what your normal strategies are. Oh, he's 34-45 Protoss. Beautiful. Very even match. That's great. But then, yeah, whisper me what strategies you normally play, and I'll tell you if you should do it, or if I'd prefer you to change it systemic to something else. Maybe we'll see. So in terms of the normal opening, I guess let's just write out some stuff. Yeah, this is one of those ones I really should have written down at some point because I feel like I've written it down so many times, but I guess things change and the adept meta is the latest change with this. So let's just write it down. Yeah, okay, cool. So basically, you normally do hatch cast pool, is it?
Yeah.
When do you build that hatch? 16?
16, yeah.
Okay. If you get your hatch blocked a lot, obviously just make sure you send that drone down a bit earlier and quickly go take the third or something. Sometimes some people go 15 hatch just like on small maps. So if people are really blocking it a lot, like I think just go 15 hatch, then you can basically do your normal build order. That way you're very comfortable. So it's always better to be able to stay in your comfort zone. And personally, I think it's much better if you can just take your natural rather than your third. But it depends on the situation.
Okay, so if you go 15 hatch, so basically you rally a drone towards your natural when you have like 160-ish minerals or something, in order that
like you pull it off. You mean you pull it off minerals at 160 minerals, right?
Yeah, because something like that.
Yeah, you can't like rally a drone that you've just started building, but yeah. Basically, if it leaves the mineral line at 200 minerals on a map where it's a bit closer, about 150 minerals on a map where it's quite far away, the natural. So I like to just pull it at 150. A lot of the maps, the natural's quite far away these days. So yeah, 16 hatch, and then you go 18 gas, 17 pull?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you pull 2 off gas at link speed?
Yeah.
Okay, so you leave 1 mining, that's good. And how do you, when do you take your third base normally? It's like 30 supply, 32 supply. How do you?
32. In the beginning, I benchmarked it at 30, but then I realized I had commonly 2 larva idling, so I started to take it at 32.
Okay. So, and then we go straight for an overlord and a third queen after that, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. So this is the exact same opening as your ZvT, you'll notice. That's easy. Opening's very simple, very straightforward. Systemics here. Awesome. I'm going to invite Systemic to party. Just, I'll come back to you build in a sec. Oops. All right, we can host up game. So I'm inviting Systemic to party. I'll just host up a game and then I'll start talking you through this. So essentially what we're going to do is, because you're going roaches for defense, we will get a faster second and third gas at the same time or just after the roach warren. So the way it's going to time out is kind of roach warren, lair, 2 more gases. And then we'll get spore crawlers about a minute after that. Now that's the important part of the build. So we'll do that. Is Systemic in the party? Why is this not working? Okay, let me just host up a map. Do you veto any maps, mate?
Nightshade is fine. I mean, yeah.
Nightshade is fine. I love me some Nightshade.
I don't like Golden Wall, but it's too weird for me. I'm not a weird type of player, so this type of maps put me in trouble usually. But Nightshade is super.
You just gotta learn a Ling Flood into like gold base Ravager Ling Flood. You just gotta. It's like it's just your prison fight practice, you know. Like these maps, like you pick a weird, cool, funky style, and you just something that you have a few waves planned out. Or fast muters. It's really good. I actually think for players who really want to get more aggressive and be more of an active player in the matchup, this fucking okay. Can we all relog? I'm gonna relog as well, really quickly because
I'm going. Okay.
I'm pretty sure maybe it's my issue, but I'll just quickly relog and.
I will do the same.
Because we can't invite him in right now.
I had a message saying that he doesn't accept invites.
Yeah, he might just need to fix his social settings. It wasn't giving me that message, which is why I was like, oh, it must not be that. But I think he probably just doesn't have his settings on. So Let me just rehost real quickly and we will see if this works. Ah, yeah. Okay, fix your social settings. Yeah, okay, Systemic, I hope you have the stream open, mate. Yeah, he's got the social settings on. Fix social settings. So for those who don't know, if you are in game, you guys should all turn this shit off. I get one time someone called you bad names. This happens to everybody, and they only allow friends to send me invites, messages, playing a game. I get random invites to like Desert Strike games all the time, guys, as you can imagine as a streamer. I still leave this off because I want to be able to have random people who beat me on the ladder or I beat them on the ladder or vice versa. I want to be able to message each other after the game, go, damn, GG, well played, and ask each other a question about their strategy, compliment each other a little bit, and sometimes get some feedback as well. And that's actually where you do a lot of learning in StarCraft. So I think, honestly, everyone should try to always leave those settings open and just manually block people when they're pieces of shit. So just practice your manual blocking, your manual social distancing when someone's a cancerous piece of shit.
Mechanics in manual blocking.
Yeah, you got to right click block before they get the second line of I fucked your
exactly
mom or whatever, and you know. But thanks Systemic. It says, oh, it's on friend only. Yeah, I think it's actually like like the best thing in StarCraft. I was actually thinking about this while I was eating breakfast this morning, how if I had to do a video about like a real clickbaity title and it was like 5 things that would make you a better StarCraft player but you're too fucking lazy to do, and number 1 was like just actually play more custom games and like be in a community, which like the number 1 thing holding people back and making them angry at StarCraft, I think, is playing in a void. And I think if more people would just talk to their opponents that beat them on ladder and ask them to play customs and ask them for advice and stuff, like it just gets you in the right mindset, and losing isn't as big a deal when you kind of chat to the person and they explain a few things of like how their build works, and it gives you some insight. So, you know, your opponents aren't this dark, shadowy, fucking weird force that just does stuff to you, but you actually start to think about the game from their point of view as well. And you're like, oh,
exactly.
Like, oh, okay, that timing really hinges on this thing. And like, you know, StarCraft players love to talk about that like one thing that makes their build work, you know? And once you understand that, it's a lot easier to stop as well. You know, we like to share the powerful shit we do. All right, so before we get in, so 2 minutes, okay? So I'm very quickly going to explain the crutch of the build. You're going to execute this like shit, that's fine. But basically, here is the important thing. So, essentially, so there's 2 branches. So let's go Stargate and let's do Robo Twilight. I think that's probably a little more common right now with the Adept meta, but obviously it'll vary. So anytime it's a ground build, yep.
There, if I'm not mistaken, I watched some VODs of you coaching other ZvPs, and there the sport timing is rather 4:30, right? Something like that.
Yeah, we're actually gonna err on the side of being a bit greedy here. So I prefer to err on the side of being greedy. So first Robo Twilight, basically it's 4 minutes. We're gonna go Roach Warren, 2nd and 3rd gas, and a lair, and then 4 minutes 45 spores in each base. So what are those spores for? Obviously DTs, right? But against Stargate, we want to flip those 2 timings. So you go, okay, and we'll actually go a bit earlier because people know how to chrono boost an Oracle. We'll say 345 spores. Now, you can delay that if you're someone who really likes to go really fast 4th and 5th queen and is really good at keeping your queens in your mineral lines, having good overlords and moving your queens. You can delay the spores. For now, we're just going to keep it really generic and just say, chuck a spore down in each base at 345. And what does that mean? That means we delay the other part. So we flip it. Roach Warren, 2nd and 3rd gas plus lair goes down at 445. So this is like really cool, right? Because we can just kind of, oh, okay, we just flip that upside down.
Yeah.
The same build essentially. It's just spores obviously need to be up for oracles in one case. And if they're going oracles, well, guess what? We're not going to get hit by Glaive Adepts or an Arc on drop until about 6 minutes usually.
Right.
These timings are very flexible and loose. I'm talking in broad strokes. You may encounter someone with a very tight build that hits earlier, but in broad strokes, that's it. So we don't need the Roach Warren until way later. But because we're building spores, we need to drone a lot more. So it's an extra minute of droning before we go for more gas, before we go for lair and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
That's it. Essentially from there, and then back to the build, which stays the same no matter what. So, okay, well, what do we do no matter what? Here we go. At roach horn, we're going to get 10 roaches. And these are just safety roaches, we can call them. That's a generic thing. The better you get at scouting, you'll learn when you can skip that. Oh no, this fucking guy's building a second Stargate, and I've scouted it. This player's doing this other thing. I can skip the roaches because I've seen there's like 4 oracles out or something crazy, or I can delay them. But in general, when we're just keeping it real simple to start, we're going to go 10 roaches for safety. We're going to drone like a mother trucker. We will add Evo plus Lair. Now that Evo, of course, is for melee upgrades, because we are going to be going Hydrabane off this. At 3 base saturation, go up to 6 gases. So that's your 4th, 5th, 6th gases, right?
Yep.
It's a 4th base. And basically just go into Hydrabane. So
yep.
in terms of this, we also want to make a few decisions about how we're playing Hydrabane. So let's very quickly choose right now. What's your ideal work account? And do you try to win with Hydrabane and stay on it for a really long time? Totally valid to do that. Do lots of Baneling run-bys and stuff, really just spread creep, make masses of Hydrabane? Or do you like to go up to Broodlords relatively quickly for a Broodlord Hydrabane timing?
I feel like I would like to go to Brutes rather faster than later, because I struggle to deal with AoE a lot. And so if I stay too much on Hydrabane, I feel like I get poor engagements, even with surrounds.
Cool. One thing I really often talk about when I'm coaching, and you've watched some of my coaching, so you probably heard me talk about it, is the idea of saying, okay, that's a problem. And rather than avoiding the problem with the Broodlords, double down on the problem. So this is like a way of treating our ladder as practice, right? Like you were saying before, it's not about MMR. You'll probably lose more games in the short term, but we can actually make a rule and say it's Hydrabane or die trying. We can still get a big economy, but go like just double Evo, so ranged upgrades and melee, and just non-stop Hydrabane. And basically say you're not allowed to make a hive. All you do is you get more clever with how you use your Hydrabane, better at doing Baneling run-bys, maybe Baneling drops even, but it's more just about learning how to spread your Hydrabane out, how to spread creep, and basically focus on those engagements. And you'll have games where you're ahead and you throw it with a bad engagement. But because your whole focus is on doing that better, it gives you a very clear, cool, I know I'm going to rewind the replay, watch the fight, go, you know what? I should have pulled back here and sent half my army to go attack that other base that his army was nowhere near defending. And then when he went to defend that, the other half of my army could have come back in. You know, you can come up with those rules. So do you think that sounds fun?
Yes, it sounds also very good, because we did the same strategy in ZvP and it worked a lot. So.
Oh, we did, didn't we? I totally forgot we actually did the same thing. So yeah, 2 squads of Hydrabane is a good thing to do, you know, as you get bigger and bigger with the army, Baneling run-bys, all that sort of stuff. What's your ideal drone count? Are we going to go like 80 drones, 75 drones?
80 is good.
Okay, 80 drones. Okay, fantastic. All right, let's do it. All right, so let's get into game. I'll talk you through it. Obviously, we're going to be real sloppy at this. The important thing is that we keep going through these theoretical things and writing the notes down at the same time so that you've got your reference. So over the next week, you can keep going back to it and look at it. I'm sure some people watching are like, oh, this is a bit hard to follow, but sorry, guys, that's just how it goes. We're gonna now start to see exactly kind of what's going on. So Pomba, normal opening, as we said. And I haven't talked about your scouting yet. So we're going to make your scouting fucking basic at first. I want your first Overlord to go straight, just touch the enemy natural and go straight through the back of their main base. So that first Overlord is sacrificed from the very beginning of the game. And that way it'll see the tech. Beautiful. All right. So just do your normal opening. And the whole point of this Overlord Scout is it means we should see the tech like the moment it goes down, about 2 minutes 30, 2 minutes 40 at the latest. And that means we're already in the mindset prepared for which branch we're going down. And we'll be good. So just get in your rhythm, get a nice opening going. Good luck, have fun.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I haven't written down the scouting yet. Scouting. First Overlord. If he was in Diamond 1, I would have tried to give him some more advanced. He's Diamond 3, so we are starting with a little bit more basic scouting for now. And we'll fix that later on. Do I coach viewers? It's a paid service, the Loco's Secret Evil Twin. Nice name. So I coach whoever does hire me to coach them. But basically we also do a newbie stream once in a while. I haven't done one in a little bit, so who knows? We'll probably get one going pretty soon where anybody can submit a replay for coaching. Also, if you get enough bacon, which is the free currency, I'll do a very quick kind of look through your replay on the stream and give you some pointers and answer a question. So yeah. So basically this was my scouting for a long time as well. So I'm not saying, oh, Diamond 3 players do dumb scouting, high level players do different scouting and stuff, guys. What I am saying here is basically this is just a way of simplifying your opening. And when you're first learning a new build or sinking into a new rhythm, probably a good way to go about things. So far, this looks pretty good. Cool. Sniper, thank you very much for the 8-month resub, dude. I really appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the pigsty. Yeah, it costs a shitload of bacon because we don't want to, if we have a thousand regular viewers or however many it is, that's a couple thousand people that regularly watch the stream. And after a few months, if everyone got 200k bacon and we spent a whole week just looking at people's replays, it'd be crazy. So we purposely made that. So you got to watch a lot of the stream before you get that. I put out an insane amount of free content. So the bacon is really just a little bonus extra for those people that do that. It's a very late second Nexus. It is. But I mean this is Diamond 3, so it's totally fine. I'm gonna see a Twilight. Cool. It's a big difference between Diamond 3 and Diamond 1. So as long as Systemic just follows the pattern that they're comfortable with, we'll be totally fine. Alright, so you've seen that it's a Twilight Council there. Let's imagine we've clicked on that. Okay, cool. So just keep droning for now, get that third queen. We need to build another Overlord as well as that third queen. And basically, we just want to keep droning up here as hard as we can, smashing that lava. We've got lots of lava sitting there right now. And remember, it's going to be at 4 minutes, or just before 4 minutes, we can go Roach Warren, 2 more gases, and a lair. So it's a little while away, so keep injecting and droning for now. Getting your Overlords up around your base, we should be good. So what the fuck is this Overlord doing, guys? And what are these Overlords doing? We don't have Overlord out front our third. So sloppy Overlord basics. That's something. I haven't been talking to him or distracting him too much. That's just a default thing, as the Overlord positioning is kind of off. Second, third OV out front, natural and third. Fourth, fifth, sixth OVs on the edges, watching for drops / oracles. Okay. And did he just go lair? He did. Lair, 2 more gases, etc. He's built heaps of Overlords ahead of time, which I'm totally okay with. Alright, and it's time to go spores as well. About 4:45 is the timing for that. So start dropping them now. And remember, we want to go straight into a lot of roaches as this Roach Warren finishes. So we want to try and get about 10 roaches out now as this Roach Warren finishes.
A new queen has emerged.
Why am I not talking about the fact that he doesn't have an Overlord in the most obvious position, guys? Why? Because it's a new build order and you have to learn the macro first of all. Obviously this is fucking stupid that he would let a pylon build there, and it's also really silly that Systemic would build a pylon there in my opinion, but this is actually going to be totally fine. Lair's finished, roaches are there. Let's just put it on his camera, see how he crisis manages. Yeah. If they all just engaged the queens and drones here, the DTs would have done some really nice damage, but... Did he A move to respond? He did not. He did not react to that, guys. Oh no. Okay, he was real slow to get that A move going. He did eventually. I would have just A moved the drones immediately and also would have said, okay, I'm going to lose 7 drones killing this DT. Let's rebuild them straight away. He's really got to fix his mining. Let's see how he deals with this chaos. I think he just got the warp prism. Oh no, it moved and cancelled. Okay. Still hasn't put his workers back on mining. Ooh. So I'm not speaking right now, because right now he's struggling to order things in his
drones
own
are
brain.
under
If I start
attack.
speaking to him, it's just going to overload what is already overloaded. It's already short-circuiting right now. Okay, in that scenario, if you know your roaches are about to handle it, guys, always click there and then right-click back on the minerals. But I guess because he's not actually got enough roaches to handle it. Yeah. Don't worry about building any drones. You've got a sick work account. Just keep building roaches. So you also want to make an overseer and just queue it through their bases. You've already seen a third, but basically you just queue that to scout and keep massing roaches until you stabilize, okay? And they just adjust your workers, put them back on the correct patches. Like right now we've got a lot of workers in messy positions. And you do need to get, yeah, a few more roaches out for safety. Because against an Archon drop, totally okay to go up to 15 roaches. And stabilize here.
Has emerged.
Still a pylon right there. But he never spread creep there either. And if we look at the control groups, there's no queen control group, which is really bad. These queens should have been on a control group, moving around, engaging the warp prism. He also doesn't have overlords down here in this dead space, but he's got them in these really random spots out on the map that are like, okay, like that's nice later in the game. It's not important in the early game. So bad overlord prioritization is one of the #1 problems that even quite high level Zerg players struggle from. And once again, it's like, why are these queens not on a control group? There's 2 queens behind your natural. Those should have been on a control group this entire time. Remember your queen defense key, same as in Zerg vs Terran. And you want to use those to move around and target down warp prisms. So those should always be on a control group as your anti-Hellion / anti-warp prism queens.
Yeah, they are. I just forgot to use it in the chaos.
Okay. Oh, it must be on 0 or something, right?
It's redacted to tilde, basically.
Yeah, okay. I can't see that because of the overlay. The recent patch broke it. Never mind. Cool. All right. So anyways, you're going melee carapace. We should be going melee range. Never make carapace versus Protoss. Get that Hydroden down. That Hydroden down should have been down a while ago. And let's keep spreading creep and making mass Zerglings right now. You've got more drones than you'll really need for the rest of the game. This is enough drones, 73 with 5 more on the way. You've got drones attacking your Evo chamber in your main. But basically, I just want you to make Massling Bane. Where's the Bane Nest? Bane Nest and Hydroden. Both of those always go down at the same time after the early game. And yeah. Awesome. So get some map control, mass Zerglings, stop making drones, inject, oval, and just non-stop Zerglings and Hydras and Banes, and keep spreading creep. Look to take engagements later on when you can, but for now it's about queuing up the Hydra upgrades, queuing up the Bane upgrades, and just making a shitload of Ling Bane Hydra. Good luck. Oh, what's he doing?
We have met the enemy in combat.
Yeah.
Mineral cluster.
He's gone to 85 workers. He's got a lot of idle drones. Oh, okay, so that's why he built so many. In his natural, he's got a ton of drones all following another worker. Like 7 or 8, just kind of chilling.
Our forces are under attack.
Remember I told you you've already got more than enough drones a few minutes
Mineral
ago?
field depleted.
You've got about 10 following a drone in your natural, but you keep adding more workers to put on gases. You've got 90 workers now. So Bane speed, get the more melee upgrades and range upgrades, and start massing Hydra Bane. Because your army is very small right now. We need to make sure we have lots of Banes and lots of Hydras. You've only got 5 Hydras. Your Roaches do want to be on your main army control group as well. You want everything in a big army. And you also want to get some more map control as well as have lots of Banelings made ahead of time. Right now you've got an army of 5 Hydras and a pack of Zerglings. That is not safe, and it's sitting on the edge of creep. You have no idea what's out there, so you got to be much more careful than that. Also, with this Baneling backstab on the top, you morph that right next to his gateway. Get that the hell out of there. Always morph that shit way further, way hidden back. All right, keep
Evolution
making
complete.
hydras here, and you've got to move your main army across through the middle and start looking for good fights if you can, because you've got to start trading. You're maxed out, and you're giving him time to catch up. So get out there, look for some good fights. Remember, your main army should have banelings on a separate control group to your hydras when you're playing against Protoss, unlike against Terran. Whew.
We have met the enemy.
All right,
in
let's just
combat.
let him do his thing. These roaches, I told him to add those to his army, but he forgot. Just click them in the mineral line and bring your roaches to your main army. Get your army back with your roaches and try to defend at your natural. You can give up a base. Just make lots of hydras and banes.
They're after my drones.
Really bad A move. Right click in the mineral line with a move command. You never queue up A moves with baneling run bys. These are good things we're picking up on, guys. These are really important, just bad habits he has.
Our forces are under attack. Evolution complete.
Let's start writing these notes down before I forget.
Against
Too many
the
things.
Zealots. ZvP.
Hydras and
Our base is
leftover roaches 1, control 1, banes control 2, run by control 3, 4, etc. Control 3 or 4, etc. Very important to do all that.
in combat.
The other thing, bane run bys always click right into mineral line,
Mutation.
move command, and then shift right click on probes for bonus.
A mineral
effect.
field has been depleted.
You're fucking killing it. Yeah, respread that creep. You've still got a sick economy. Just move your drones around to your bases. Your natural has tons of drones not doing anything, as does your third. And just keep making tons of banes. So right now you've got a crazy Hydra army. That's more Hydras than we ever really need. We do need an Overseer with that army, because right now we don't have one. So observers could be watching us. And we just need to add tons of banelings and then split the army into 2 control groups. So we want to kind of have, you know, one is a backstab / counterattack defense, and the other one is the other control group. So that way we can try to, if it comes to a frontal fight, we can come in with Hydra Bane from both sides. He saw the Hydra Bane and went, oh lord. This kid has to land some good storms, but you can tell he's a 1 control group boy, which means his High Templar are going to get cracked by Banes 100%. If Pomber engages correctly, he'll be able to kill it. So let's take a look. Awesome. So now you can start threatening both sides while continuing to just make tons of banelings and spreading creep and just looking for baneling run bys. Remember, rather than queuing up A moves like you did before, if you ever do a baneling run by, you just want to right click it in the mineral line usually. But yeah, get your armies, 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom side. Right now you're moving a small group of units through the middle of the map, but your other army's just sitting at home. So you want one army to attack the very top at the third, the other army to attack from the very bottom. And if he pushes into you on creep, you can pull them back and you can just sandwich him. That's the peanut butter. This is a slice of bread, that's a slice of bread. Let's make a peanut butter sandwich. Peanut butter Protoss sandwich. Banelings just clicked in, not being microed, not the best, but not the worst either. That's what I was talking about with the High Templar. So even though this is an awful engage on the bottom, it was more awful from Protoss. And that's what we want. My man. Yeah, keep injecting, keep making more Hydraling Bane. And it's easy to get excited and counterattack here, but always make more Banes before you counterattack. Never go across the map with like 10 Hydras and 20 Lings, because around are Zealots and Archons kills that really easily. Many Zergs have thrown games by attacking without Banelings. Keep spreading creep and setting your Zergling scouts up. And once again, just make that army split into 2 squads and go 1 army attacks the third from the top. 1 army comes around the very bottom of the map and attacks the fifth. If you attack from both sides like that, it's really easy to micro, because all you need to do is go, oh, his army's here, and you run away your army that his army engages, because they're going to run their army around in 1 blob. And you let your other army kill a base and then you pull it back. And that way you can always take good trades and Protoss will start getting fucked. Good luck, man.
We have met the enemy
He's putting
in
down macro
combat.
hatches because he's got lots of money.
A creep
It's only
tumor is
2k
under attack.
minerals, and I think he's actually got pretty good injects going, so I wouldn't have bothered with that.
Mineral cluster
Okay,
depleted.
what's he doing here?
Our
Oh, he's
base
so
is
worried
under
about the
attack.
frontal army, he's not dealing with the zealots. I guess
Our
it's okay. He ran his
forces are
drones
under
away.
attack.
That is the more important engage. And he's actually done this really well, guys. The Banes are hitting the Archons, get the High Templar! Fuck. It's not the cleanest, but it gets the job done.
Our base
love
is
it.
under attack.
So he should be sending half that army to go engage that. There. And half down here. The power of creep spread with Hydra Bane, guys. You can fuck these armies up forever.
We have met the enemy in combat.
Obviously, if they get like a sick arc on a mortal count with High Templar wedged in the middle, it does get very tricky. The High Templar keep being a little bit exposed in these armies, but it does happen. 2 squads of Hydra Bane. A move from both sides. We could get massive bonus points for move commanding all the Banes into
Mineral
the
field
High
depleted.
Templar manually. Bonus efficiency for doing that, right? So once again, his army was sitting in one big blob. Now he splits it. So it's one of these things where it's like, split it ahead of time, you know? So go around the edge, clean up any zealots you run into, and then go do some damage. Yeah. Kill the observers. You see these are, yeah, Systemic was sick of getting killed by flanks. So he's going into that. So once again, this is meant to be attacking up here and this army down here, but he's attacking right next to each other. So it's like spread your opponent out, right? Spread your army out. Your armies are right next to each other. So go around the very top of the
Our
map and the
forces
very
are
bottom of the
under
map.
attack.
There we go. So this army sitting in the middle should really be moving to the very top of the map to attack the third. And your bottom army, run. You see his armies there? Get the fuck out. Just run. Run. That's how we do it. And then the other army should be already have been going
we have
in,
met the
right?
enemy in combat.
Keep making banelings at home. So that should have been set up well ahead of time. Your default should always be to attack the very extreme edges. Because you kept getting sandwiches on his army, you started getting in the habit of getting too close together in the middle. It's good for crushing his army, not good for attacking his bases. Awesome. Make more units at home, more banelings, and pull that army at home way back. It's sitting
Our
way too far
forces are
forward.
under attack.
Yeah, good job. Alright, morph more Banes. Remember, Banes are what makes this army strong. You're killing it, man. Keep making more units, and let's crush this fucking scraps of Protoss. Still a very close game.
Our forces are under attack.
Guys, any suggestions in chat that I've missed? Let me know. I have good games and then I have games which are total disaster. Everything falls apart after some event. It's very natural. The important thing is after those games to look at the replay and say, okay, next time I'm in this scenario, what should my goals be? It's the moment you lose track of what your goals are in a game, what you're leading towards. That's where you start playing really fucking bad StarCraft. And that's for all of us. It's not just, you know, for some people. So once again, army's in a big blob. Let's see how quick he is to split. He splits it. There we go. But he didn't control group still. He's struggling real fucking hard here. What are we doing right now? Where is that alt key?
Mineral field depleted.
Okay, he did steal those off, thankfully.
mineral field has
Did
been
he
depleted.
click them? He clicked them there. They should be clicked straight into the mineral line, in my opinion. But if he's waiting, that's okay. He's spreading creep, which is one of the big
creep
force
tumor is
multipliers
under
of Hydra Bane, guys. Should you destroy the enemy buildings before they destroy yours? Good advice, Lemo. Lord. A small thing, warn him about making drones to stay around 80. This game's been a bit messy, so I think he's actually kept up a pretty good economy. I think it's okay in this scenario. Man, those Colossus did some good
Mineral
damage.
cluster depleted.
Bane's
A new
killed the
queen
probes.
has emerged.
This is actually... Well played, man. I love that. Gasps of the exhaustion of playing that side. He actually beat you. So he left the game there. Shout out to Systemic. We're going to tell him that he actually was winning that game and he shouldn't have left. I think he was looking at his probes dying and didn't realize just how much shit his Colossus killed. Systemic had... You were equal supply at the end of that, and Systemic had 1,700 minerals and 1,000 gas in the bank, and your bank was empty. So... it was still a very close game. So Systemic, you got to believe in the power of Protoss, dude. Yeah, honestly, Storm is all you need there. The Colossus are good for sure, easier to use. The important thing is just if you just kept waiting for a bit more Archon Immortal, kept reinforcing your defense at your expansions, and try to keep your High Templar in the middle of your Archon Immortal. They were exposed a few times. And then bonus points if when you realize, obviously having more map awareness so you don't get sandwiched as hard, if you see the Zerg coming in, try to spread the High Templar through your army a bit so they're not all in one clump where 3 Banelings can kill all 6 High Templar, which happened quite a few times. But just a heads up on it. That was a very good game from both of you guys, though. That was awesome. So lots of cool things went on there. Obviously, first time kind of running through the build. It's crazy chaos. It's nothing's automatic. You're trying to remember the build order while you're doing it. So let's just remember that after you survive that early, like if there's an Archon drop being a dick, okay, number one, use the queens to get over there and just overbuild roaches. If you're on the back foot, build another 5 or 10 roaches, like go up to 15 or 20 roaches and then go back to droning. Like it's always if you shut down the first Archon drop really hard, it doesn't get in, you're tracking it, it's not getting in your lines at all. Okay, cool, maybe we can go back to droning because we're like in control. But the moment you sense you're not in control, let's just err on the side of building units a little bit more so that things are a bit easier and it doesn't get as chaotic for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with your suggestion, I kind of came back into the game, but honestly, after the first the Archon drop, there I lost completely track on the build. Like
yeah, well, the thing is, you killed the first 4 DTs with 3 DTs, very little damage. The one in your main, you reacted to a bit slow, but you'd already killed 3 DTs for free, so you were already like in a really good spot. But it goes back to the very beginning. You had really bad Overlord coverage. So your first Overlord was great. Just click that straight through again, like you did in that last game. But you know, open the replay. I'll show you. It's better to show rather than talk. I've got a brain that can simulate the StarCraft game because I've played 400 billion games and I can talk about it and I can see it. It's harder for you to see it. Just open the stream up and just watch my first person view. There'll be a few seconds delay of me showing things. So if something's unclear, just interrupt me and tell me to talk about it again. But I'm just going to go over the key points here.
Yeah, let me just refresh it.
Yeah. You know what? We probably don't have enough time to actually do another game since we did start a little early. Let's just do a nice methodical review of this game and this replay, and that'll be the most effective. So
yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Also because I'm completely drowned. Like
yeah, it's late at night for you, and you just had a crazy game. That was sick though. You and Systemic should really add each other on Discord, in Twitch chat or whatever. He's there in Twitch chat. You guys should share Discords and stuff because you're a very good match for each other. So I think you know, similar MMR, really really good match. So with your Overlord, if you're ever worried about them not expanding or something, like so what I do with my Overlord is I would click it to go like here, roughly where the wall off goes, and then go through the back of the main, just from the very start, right? And that way it's automatically going to go straight out the back into the arsehole of the main base. And if they don't build a stalker first, it gets to safety and it sees the text structure. And then you can just build this habit of always looking at it as it goes through the main. And you go, oh, cool, click on that. That's a Twilight Council. Awesome. We're doing ground branch. Doesn't matter if it's a Robo or a Twilight. We play the exact same way. We always want things to be nice and standard. So we just say ground or air. That's all we care about. Thumbs up.
Yeah, also because you can ramp up the repetitions, right?
Exactly.
If you make it simple, you can train it better. If you keep changing it all the time, you're never going to be effective on it.
Yeah. So some advice for Systemic quickly here, and this helps your understanding as well. Systemic is playing an overly safe game. So this Nexus is really late, and that's Systemic. I think really should change the build order. Did a probe scout. If you see a hatch first, a gas, a pool, this is a normal build order. So if you're going to play the way Systemic's playing here, there's no reason to probe scout because we've done an overly, like, why are we playing so safe if we've probe scouted the normal Zerg opening? We might as well just not probe scout, right? So it's like either just don't bother probe scouting or let's do a faster Nexus. And do we need to build 2 Stalkers at the start against a Zerg player? Not at all, unless we know there's an attack coming. So with you might want to learn a more efficient normal opening just to get a quicker edge into the game. Systemic. I'm not saying you have to. It would take some work. You'd suck at it at first, but once you get used to it, it would pay off. And with that build, you can send the Adept across and it can go, oh yeah, you shade in, you see a lot of drones, you cancel the shade in about 3 minutes 15, 320, you just go home with that because, you know, ling speed kicks in right about now at 3 minutes 30. In this case, 3:35. That's like 3:30 is when ling speed kicks in. Now, the other thing is, building a pylon here is probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And it's hilarious that it worked because Pomba had poor overlord positioning and was very focused on a new build order, which is part of that. Don't put the pylon there, though. Put it up here or something, somewhere where there's like a low chance of it being seen. And then you can put it there or there, and it can still warp in there. Still very close to the base, but a much lower chance of it being seen. This pylon is just silly because most Zergs should see that with an overlord or their Zerglings just walking around their base. So that's a very silly pylon there, and definitely be a bit cheekier with that pylon placement. So our first overlord goes through Pomba. Second overlord goes out front your natural. Third overlord, you started putting overlords in really kind of odd positions. Like this one just started clicking across the map. I mean, it can be kind of nice to have a follow-up overlord. A Zergling can do that job. So after the first overlord, we're not going to scout other than with Zerglings until Overseer's out. It's much more important to see adepts moving around and to see bullshit coming your way. So, same as in Zerg vs Terran. Second overlord, third overlord. So out front the natural, out front the third. Biggest areas. It's not just for seeing Hellion rotations, it's for seeing adepts. It's for seeing probes coming in. In this case, seeing a cheeky pylon. And then after that, we fill in the edges. Fourth overlord, fifth overlord, sixth overlord. For instance, this bottom side, we never actually put an overlord in this little area behind our third, and the Archon Prism was moving around there. Meanwhile, we were putting overlords like out here in the corner of the map. And it was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, okay, it's not bad to have an overlord in that corner. That's like much later in the game that matters though, right? If we've got a missing hole next to our third or our natural, that's way more important.
Yeah. I see it. I totally see it. Oh my god. Overlord placement is just inexistent in this game. Like, I'm completely aware of it.
Learning a new build order. I know I've seen you do much better in ZvT before, so just apply the same rules. You'll be fine. As you get more comfortable with the build, it'll be more natural. I just want to make sure we're pointing it out here so it doesn't become a habit. So that's the main thing to start, is the scouting, the map control. Now, beyond that, let's take a look. Okay. So the roach warren goes down about 4 minutes. We get the lair, 2 more gases. It's all real nice. We go up to 5 queens. Yep, 4 or 5 queens. I mean, if you want only 4 queens is totally fine. Obviously, what we see here is Systemic's done a much slower Warp Prism build, but the pylon allows the first ETs to still hit at a pretty good timing. What's cool is even with the pylon being there, our spoil was still done on time, and we had our roaches building. So if they had to warp in a little bit further back, they 100% would have been ready, and that would have been a bit easier. So this is where, obviously, unfamiliar build, DT's running in. We get way ahead, and then this is where we panic. So I'm on your camera right now.
We have met the enemy in combat.
Oh, what's happening there? I'm building the fourth. Wait, what's this? Oh, shit. Panic. Queens, we tell to attack the prism, which was nice, and then we run the drones away. So we did pull the army reasonably fast, but then we go back to injecting. Okay. So this is something you did multiple times in this game where you A-moved enough units to deal with the pressure, but you'd pull your drones off and you'd forget to put them back for a long time, or you'd screw up putting them back. So just remember, whenever you know it's not a big deal, like in this case, it's like a DT, a single DT. You know, even the Zerglings alone, we're going to pretty much deal with that. So just try to use the shift click. Run away, shift click, and then shift click back on the minerals. So they automatically go back. And that's something I like to use a lot. So if you can get good at recognizing, oh, this is something that's going to be dealt with very quickly, you queue back. Now, if it's a Liberator, you don't have any anti-air. If this is 2 Archons and you're only attacking it with 4 or 5 Roaches, which is not really going to get rid of it, don't queue back, because then all your drones are going to stack up in front of 2 Archons or a Liberator and they're going to kill it all, right? So, you know, obviously you're learning a new build order. I think it's totally natural that you made these mistakes here. Everything's a little bit new, a little bit different, right? But I think it's good just to kind of think about that, make sure we focus on it for the future, right? Because these drones, they idle for a really long time,
Yeah, because I'm used to in ZvT to actually I recognize the threat way better, and so I don't have the habit to queue them because I remove them and put them back much more in a sharp way. right? So I
Yes.
exactly know when to put it back, and you know, here it's
drones
just
are under
panic
attack.
mode. And
It's
so I
also
can get,
because your build order's been really loose before. You're doing rule of one gas. You're trying to defend the stuff with like queens and zerglings, but it's a bit random and stuff, right? Now you're gonna start to have more set normal timing that your roaches are out, and you're gonna know. You're gonna have a rhythm where you know the build, and after a certain amount of reps, you're gonna go, I've got 12 roaches. They'll be there in 5 seconds. Cue the drones to go back to mining. So as you get more experience with the build, you'll be able to know when you can disrespect the pressure, right? Where you can A-move some shit and then go back to mining and keep macroing. And you'll recognize when, oh fuck, this is actually really scary and I need to just keep those drones off and I need to micro my little heart out trying to react on the fly. So the one thing here is like we see, yeah, we had 11 roaches, but it would have been nice if we built a bunch more earlier. And if we had that like kind of better vision around, because then our queens could have been intercepting this prism. And like the dream is always like, you even sometimes see the prism leave the base, it warps in DTs, you've got like 2 or 3 queens and like your roaches and an overseer just greeting it. And you're like, yeah, get fucked. Like at this point we still hadn't made an overseer. If you know it's DTs, we should have an overseer with our roaches. And imagine like this prism comes in, it should be like, okay, queens click the prism, your roaches just on a move guarding in case they drop archons, it has to fly back. And then you see it coming down the bottom. You move your queens down to the edge, tries to fly in. Queen starts shooting it. It has to run back or it dies, right? And it's just much easier because then we can drone up. Now, let's just think a little bit about, okay, that's cool. This is all reactive. This is based on the situation. Now, you went double Evo. If you want to always go double Evo, totally fine with that. That's cool. But it is also important at this stage, of course, to go Hydroden and Bane Nest. So we can put all of these structures down kind of maybe at the same timing. So it's like Hydroden, Bane Nest, double Evo all at once. Just to simplify it for now, what do you think?
yeah, that's what I do in ZvT usually. I drop Hydrodan and the Evo and the Bane Nest when I take gases. So like yeah.
Okay, so in this case, do you want to do it the same when you take those extra 3 gas geysers, or how you? Does that market make sense for you? Because it's honestly whatever feels comfortable for you.
Under attack.
When did we take
I
those
feel
gases?
I can try, right? Because in the beginning we need to rely basically on those pack of roaches and the queens and the lings, right? It should be fine until they commit to like a much bigger attack, right?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about our reactions here, actually. This is a really good idea. So if we talk about your build there and stuff, scouting, map control, back to the build, 3 base saturation, key responses. Okay, so I guess let's go down to key responses, 2 base all-ins in general, okay? So I'm even going to write a new... How do we know it's safe to drone? So initially, you're often going to defend. It's going to be basically verse ground, so verse Twilight Robo. You're often going to build your first roaches off. How many drones do you think it'll be roughly off the top of your head? I'm not going to show you in this game.
Well, so you put down the Roach Warren when you have basically 16 plus 16 plus 1 gas, so it's 32, 35, and then you need to wait until the Roach Warren is over, so it's another maybe round of injects of drones. So I would say 42, 43, 44 drones, something like that.
Good estimation. I really like that. I think just running this through in your head like that, really, really useful. In this game, you went right up to 50. You'd argue this is greedy if your opponent hits a super tight timing, but I think normally 45 to 50, this is totally okay, Especially because then you build some more structures, and that chews up some workers, so you ended up on like 48 after your spores went down as your roaches were building. Cool. So first ground.
Yeah, this is just, this is the muscle memory of the rule of 1 gas, you just fucking drone like a madman, and and then you take all your structure. It's part of me now when I play StarCraft.
Well, I think it's a good. It's totally fine. And if you went against Oracles first, obviously we delayed the Roach Warren, so we might be up closer to like 55 drones at the peak before we build those roaches. So 48 to 55 drones is when we
larva, right? Yeah, because you save all the larva that you use for Roach Warren, roaches, and the gases.
We have met the enemy in combat.
So some tells would be, what if there's no third nexus at all? what do you think is the maximum drone count you want to stop at before you just massing Roach Ravager to make sure you survive whatever's coming? So
I
no
would
third
say
Nexus even started.
55. I would say 55 if they have the gases as well. If it's not like on a charge lot all in.
Okay, so this is like almost like a completely different scouting tale is no natural gases. So if they don't have natural gases, how many drones max?
Ooh, less, I would say, because I try to go to 50, 50, 55 and I usually die. So I would say 10 less at least.
Yeah, I mean, let's say 40 drones even.
40.
You gotta understand, if they don't have those gases, they're fucked completely. Like, they have no transition. There's no tech. It's just a charge lot all in. Maybe an adept all in, but probably charge lots, right? They could maybe have an immortal or two and a warp prism, but if they don't have these gases, so how many workers, first of all? If Protoss doesn't have these 2 gases on the natural, it's just 2 mineral lines and 2 gases. How many workers is that?
32 plus 6, so it's 38.
Maximum of 38 workers, right? But it's also something where, because they're not getting the things that make Protoss good, upgrades, Storm, Archons, lots of immortals, because they're not building gas, you actually have better tech. If you're going a lair and 3 bases, at any point, you're safe and defend pressure, you can just build 20 drones. Plus you've got Roach speed, plus you've got Roaches versus Charge Zealots. You're actually the Protoss player.
We have met the
Everything
enemy in
switches
combat.
upside down if they don't take gases. So you can actually defend on the same economy as the Protoss. And as long as you don't die, the moment you defend, you're infinitely ahead. Whereas what is their transition like? Put yourself in the Protoss's mind. They got 8 gateways, a robo, no gases, and they're like, guess I sent a probe to start a 3rd Nexus, and I start making the gases on my natural, and like 5 minutes from now I can have 3 sentries and a +1 upgrade or something. Like, not even, like, it's such a bad transition for them. And I like to hit this home because a lot of Zergs get stuck in this mindset of like, I'm making Ravagers and Zerglings. I need 20 more workers than you. It's like, yeah, normally, sure. He's making Archons and Immortals. You're making Ravagers and Lings. You better have a lot more shit. If you're making Roaches with Roach speed and he's making just Charge Zealots, we do not need any more economy. So in that case, we can say 48 drones, okay? So let's write some things. So no 3rd Nexus at all equals 45 probes max. Let's add that here for our knowledge. No natural gases equals, what is that? That's a 38 probes max. So we go 40 drones there, right? Awesome. So what about 3rd base with just 8 workers on it? So how many, so if they build a Nexus, but they don't fully saturate, just get like 8 workers, 6 workers, 10 workers, something like that on the 3rd, no gases. So how many workers is that total if they've got 8 workers on their 3rd?
16 plus 16, 32 plus 12 plus 8 plus 20, so 42. No, wait, 52.
52. Easier way to do that maths? A full base is 22 workers. 16
Right,
plus 6. So 44
Right.
for 2 plus 8. So 52 workers. Okay?
Right, yeah.
So that's 52 probes. So how many drones would we want to be at if they got 52 probes with that half saturated 3rd?
I would say like 66.
66 drones? Yep.
A bit on the greedy side, but...
No, I like it. They've built a 3rd Nexus and stuff. 66 drones. If we're also making an infestation pit, double upgrades. Hydra Den, Bane Nest, Bane Speed, Hydra upgrades. We're going for Hive and Spire. And we're just starting to make Hydras with no upgrades. Lings without Bane Speed. And we've got a bunch of Roaches left over. We may still die. But if we recognize what they're doing, we just keep making like Roaches and add some Banes or Hydras to it. As long as we defend that attack, we're fine. So that's kind of one of those awkward ones that could catch you out, right? So if you don't realize an attack like that's coming, you could get caught going 2 Evo upgrades. Bane speed, but it's not going to be ready yet. Hydra upgrades, but they're not ready yet. And you're like, I'm building Lings and Hydras, and they're like not really good units yet. So like, just theoretically think about it like, oh, okay, so if I don't realize and do all that, maybe I get caught out there. But you know what? If I just make a handful more Roaches, turn a few into Ravagers, like, we should still be able to defend as long as we realize that. This brings us to where we're running out of time. We've got to finish up in a sec. So I've wrote earlier, and I'm gonna copy paste this up here. Where did I write it? Must have written it near the top. 30, basically shit show, blah 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 blah. We've got Key responses. Here it is. This, yeah. So
Yeah.
down into key responses. So the thing is, if they are doing one of these very heavy attack responses, and like I said, if we can't, because it's a bit of an awkward swap into the Hydras and Banes. That's what I was just talking about, right? That idea of, I've seen people trying to do this transition, and one of the big problems they face is, well, a Protoss who keeps attacking, and I get stuck on all these roaches, and then there's this window where I want to go into Hydras and Banes. I don't want to keep making roaches, but I've already got 30 roaches in my army. And then it makes the composition really awkward because they, it doesn't quite work the same way it normally does. And then I'm trying to make Hydras and Banes, and they come and kill me because I'm making Hydras without upgrades and Banes, or like my army is just kind of different. So I always like to say, look, if they build a third but don't probe it, or if they do a 2-base attack or anything like that, don't try to make the step from defending a Charge Lord Immortal into going 70 drones, double Evo upgrades, Hydras and Banes. That's too far down the tech tree. Right? If they just do another follow-up attack with more Charge Lots and Immortals, you're not going to be there yet. So what is an easier plan? It's, let's also just not fully saturate. Like, I'm not even going to build a fourth. I'm just going to take 5 gases and just go for a Roach Hydra timing with some Ravagers and Lings mixed in, basically.
Yeah.
And just go and kill the Protosses third, right? So like if you've already defended their first attack well and built that economy advantage that you've had from earlier in the game, because you say, defend a 45 probe Immortal Sentry attack or 55 drones, your transition is just add 1 more gas geyser, like add a 5th gas geyser or add 1 or 2 gas geysers, make the Hydra upgrades and go with like 10 Hydras, some Ravagers, Roaches, Lings, and go fucking kill them, right? And this way you've got a really clear timing to use that army you've been forced into, right? As opposed to the other thing, the problem we can encounter is going, I made Roaches, I don't really have a game plan for using the Roaches, I've got 30 of them, and now I'm just going to sit here and not use them. Let my opponent build the hard counter to those roaches while I try to very awkwardly go to Hydras and Banes. But even when we get to the Hydras and Banes, half our army supplies in these roaches. And we've given our opponent all the time to build a massive Immortal count and Storm count and Archon count. Now roaches are just like, and they all just die, right? This way it just says, okay, hey, I got to lead off defending your attack. I don't need to fucking sit in my corner and win with Hydra. I can just go kill you now with Roach Hydra, okay? So you've got this plan of, okay, you overextended to your aggression. I'm now ahead. I'm going to kill you with the composition that I'm already on. Just add a few Hydras to it. Sounds good?
Yeah. So basically, you hit a power spike of Roach Ravager and fuelings and, like, let's say 180 supply or so, and then you go to their third. Basically.
Could be 140 supply. It could be 150 supply. Could be a lot earlier than that because your drone count's much lower. But essentially, like even just having 10 Hydras, 12 Hydras with the 2 upgrades, because they're never going to die in that fight. Like Storm should not be anywhere near done. And you're going to have Roaches and Ravagers and Lings in front of it. And like Corrosive Bile's really effective. So like that's one of those attacks. They take their third. And like you could even run up the ramp. You're still watching the stream, right?
Yeah, I'm watching the stream, yeah.
So like they go to the third. You're like, oh, I can't attack in there. But then you like run up the ramp. You set up like a concave of Roach Hydra here. And they've got to attack into it. And you're Corrosive Biling the ramp. And their army's like running up and down going, fuck. I can't fight into this big arc of Roaches and Hydras up here. Shit. And at the same time, you're splitting some Roaches and Hydras and Lings into their base and going, well, I'm killing your probes. You got to get up here and fight me. Come into the concave of Zerg. You can do things like that. Like there's a lot of different ways that can work. It's its own thing. Who knows? Maybe the first time you do it, you'll throw a big lead because you don't know what the fuck you're doing with it. As always, practice makes perfect. More reps, the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, final micro points here, since we've already written about a lot of things, is micro points I wrote at the very top there for game 1. So your Hydras, Zerglings, most of your army should be on control group 1. Banelings on number 2 is kind of the main army. As you get to a really big army, what you did in this game was just fine. Just split into 2 big clumps and just fucking sandwich, right? Because it's too much to manage. But in the medium-sized battles, where you're like, I got 10 Hydras, 20 Banes, 20 Zerglings, it's really important to have those Banelings on a separate control group, especially if you're defending a timing attack, because you've got to make sure those Banelings go towards the Zealots and the High Templar. You can't just let them move into Archons and Immortals.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they will clump up and bust just half of the shield of an Archon. And then,
yeah. So, like in these fights in this game, you did a really good job, but it would have been bonus points if after giving the attack move from both sides, we're like manually control click the banelings and just go click, 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 click. Or like we grab from the other side and we go, oh, control click the banelings, or just box them and go click, 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 and always just click them towards the High Templar. The funniest thing that sometimes wins you games when you're behind is literally just grabbing, like, your army's too small, but you just grab like 5 banelings and you just shift click them to come in from behind. And like a fight like this last one, your opponent's systemic. We love systemic. We really like that he helped us out. But I saw it much earlier in the game and I said it, oh, he's got one control group syndrome, which a lot of Protoss players have until you're really high level, which means this is like the normal pattern of your army. High Templars in a big fucking clump trailing the army. And if 5 Banes come in from behind, every High Templar dies to 5 Banes. And suddenly the Protoss army is like half strength and you're like, oh no. So that's like a cool little
don't
maneuver.
Get me wrong. I don't get me wrong. I do the same, sometimes. So it's something that you need to train a lot. Like I've been trying to use split control groups, the Banes, but I need to be more consistent with it. In the chaos like this, I just don't have my brain is not used. I don't have the muscle memory yet.
Your ZvT muscle memory came through a little bit though. I want to say big hats off. You kept spreading creep in the chaos. Like, I'm very happy that when the game got hectic and I could hear you breathing heavily and shit and be like, fuck, this game's scary. But you'd go back and you'd spread creep, which I was really happy with because that gives you so much longevity with Hydra Bane. There was a Bane run by earlier. I mentioned it. Don't queue up A moves.
Yeah.
Always just right click them in the mineral line. And then if you have the APM, you shift click them on the probes as well. So for instance, if we're running Banes into this mineral line right now from here, we would just click them in the mineral line. And then if we have bonus APM as they're running in, I would box 4 of those Banelings, if it's say 10, and I would click them down the south to cut off the escape route. Because if they react quick, what do? And you always know there's usually only one way out. So if you can split even just a few Banelings off, and obviously if you've got +2 melee, sometimes a single Baneling going to the south and all the probes mineral walk. And
you cut the retreat, basically. You cut the retreat of the probes, right?
Exactly. Because it was such a shame. I just want to find it real quick here because I thought this one was funny. Because I was like, oh, this is a sick Baneling run by, I think it was the first one. Maybe it was that one.
Yeah.
It was actually that one later, wasn't it? Oh, because you waited for Bane speed. You came back in after those Archons, didn't find them. Okay, I remember. I think it was about 12 minutes. So this was really funny. So first of all, we morphed it in vision of the gateway. And he was like, ah.
Lol.
But then you distracted him down here. And we took not the greatest fight, but not the worst fight either. We forgot our roaches, which was a shame. But then these come in. Yeah. And we had gone move there, then kill the gateway, and then attack move into the mineral line. So I think maybe, were you trying to right click on the gateway to bust it and then go in the mineral line? Is that what you were trying to do?
Yeah, but I was shaking. I was like, oh my God, look at that.
Well, it was hilarious because, I mean, I wouldn't click on the gateway ever at this scenario, by the way. Like, until much later in the game where they've got like really thick walls everywhere, always just go, there's always an opening, and even if this base is walled off, you can always just click there or into the natural is often open. So no need to click on gateways this early. But yeah, imagine if these Banes split and then look at what they did. I was like, no, what are they doing? And then like he's pulling probes. He doesn't even need to pull probes. Your Banelings are so confused about what their goal in life is. So they're trying to go back around to touch this gateway. Oh no.
Oh my God. What a shit show. Oh God.
That's the high adrenaline panic clicks. Like you said, your hands start shaking.
Yeah.
Oh man. There are
this is the best front buy ever seen, dude.
There are some funny moments when that happens, dude. I was talking to a laser last week and we were talking about that, how like you have big tournament moments when you're younger in your career and your hands just shake and you play like utter shit and you like can't even click on things properly. But GG's, man. That was awesome. I think you come in a long way. We're kind of applying some of the skills over. You've got your branches. I would advise you practice the build order in some empty custom games and go, okay, this game it's going to be versus Stargate. So you think of that ahead of time and then like do it where you actually look at your overlord, even though there's no opponent. You go, oh, there's a Stargate. Like simulate that in your head and do your earlier spores, later roach more in there. So do it a few versus Stargate responses, do a few versus Robo Twilight responses. Get the timings a little bit more natural and organic, and hopefully you get some practice in with that tomorrow and the day after, because it's very late at night over there in EU, so you probably want to get some rest now.
Yeah. Jared, thank you very much for everything, as usual. And I think we still have one session left. and then we'll see.
Awesome sauce. Yeah, I think so. Let
But
me double check. I'll go mark it off now. Just hit me up whenever you're ready. So whenever you
yeah,
feel like
yeah,
you need some
yeah.
guidance, and we'll book it in.
By the way, I showed the Florencio files to a friend of mine, and we love that series, dude. It became our new Netflix. It's just insane.
Nice. I'm actually going to
Florencio.
cast some at the end of today's stream because I've been a
Oh,
little bit
nice.
slow on putting them out, and I'm like, man, he's been giving me such good replays. I really want to ramp up the frequency of them a little bit. So I'm going to try and get a few more of those going out.
All right, Jared, thank you very much, and have a good stream.
Thanks a lot, mate. Have a good night.
Ciao.
Ciao. Awesome sauce. Good little sesh there, guys. Hope you appreciated